Hello, hello. Welcome to another interview in the I Am Guyanese series. My name is Vanya, and I am here with none other than Joanna Gefferie. So, Joanna, hello.
Hi.
We've never met before. Um, so, tell the people who you are.
Okay, my name is Joanna. I am an optometrist from Guyana. Grew up entirely in Guyana past the age of 6. Migrated to London. I'm currently in London working at the moment. And yeah, I'm happy to be here to talk about my Guyanese experience. I think this is a fantastic thing that you're doing to share our stories with the world because a lot of people get Guyana and Ghana confused and they think that the Guyanese experience is the Caribbean experience and we want to be Caribbean. So it's good that we're able to share our truth.
hmm Yeah, it's always interesting, like in another country or another space, saying where you're from. So, I think I got it down pat, even though people still look at me confused. I'll be, so
Yeah.
I'm from Guyana in South America, not Africa. The only English speaking country in South America. It's a Caribbean country, but it's not in the Caribbean.
Yeah. I say that to my patients a lot because they'll be like, "Oh, where are you from?" Guyana. Oh, okay. Do you know where that is? No. Is that in Africa?
No.
No.
And then it's like, because I've definitely had people like, oh my God, I've never been to Africa. And at the time, I was like, me neither. Like, and, huh?
Yeah,
But we are a very unique, um, we're in a very unique space. So even though I feel like
definitely.
I could do this interview with just myself, like just me being you, because, you know, it's been years since we've been, friends, sisters, but we'll pretend that,
We'll pretend no one knows that.
right, nobody has to know. Um, all right. So you grew up in Guyana for quite a few centuries. Where
Mhm.
where in Guyana did you grow up? Like what street or like what town did you grow up in?
So I was born in Suriname, and then my both my parents are Guyanese, so we moved from Suriname to Guyana, and my entire childhood has basically been in Georgetown. Um, we used to live in Queenstown, Georgetown, and then we moved to Kitty, and then we moved to the East Bank, where there's so much traffic, and it's so far away, but it's so peaceful. It's such a different life to live in Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so growing up was from Street Queenstown.
Mm-hmm.
That was it was such a happy childhood because you had the whole mango tree, breadfruit tree, dungs, guava, all that in your backyard, and you're able to ride your bikes, and you have neighbors that will jump the fence to play with you. Obviously, you couldn't jump the fence because you can get licks. Like, why you
Right.
jumping the fence? You're practicing teeth man vibes. Um,
Yeah.
so so it was definitely a wonderful experience, just being able to have that space after school, interacting with people, not having to think about what somebody might do to you. You always had your parents watching you, and then at a certain age, you were able to just go in the yard by yourself.
Yeah.
And then when I got into high school, we moved from Crump Street to Sandy Bar Street Kitty. So it was closer to the seawall. And that was another nice experience because even though I didn't have as much yard space as Crump Street, um, we were still able to interact with neighbors. Like there is not a day or
Yeah.
a time that you see your neighbor and you don't acknowledge them or you don't say something, even if you already said good morning to them, and then you see them a couple minutes later. Yeah, all right, what you doing? How you doing? We're cooking today. And it's always, that
It's
community.
definitely a community, yeah.
Yeah, it's that community that I think you don't appreciate it that much when you're in it. It's when you step out of it and you visit other cultures and you visit other countries, like West in the West, it is definitely um keep to yourself type of vibe. It's very rare that you come across people that are like, oh, I cooked this, I'm gonna bring something over for you.
Right.
Or, it's Christmas time, I'll get you a gift.
And it was like no
It's those,
strings attached. It was
yeah,
just if
yeah.
you turned
It
around and fired them the next day, they didn't regret giving you that piece of cake.
Right, right. And that's something that I definitely appreciated, because I grew up with my grandmother, and when
Right.
I left Guyana, yeah, when I left Guyana, I wasn't in the slightest concern that she wouldn't be okay because of the relationships we had with all of our neighbors.
Mhm.
She made it her duty to make sure that everybody knew who she was, and also to develop that relationship of sharing, of checking in. Like if she doesn't see somebody for half a day, she starts to get worried and concerned, but not to the point where like she goes nosing around. She'll look for the rest of the day to see if she sees that person and vice versa. And that's something that, you really cherish when you have to migrate for career opportunities and that type of thing, that your people are safe. When you come, even when I visit home now, it's like they still value you. They welcome you, they invite you over, they bring you food, they talk about life, they talk about developments in the community you don't know about that don't really matter to you, but they can tell you anyway. um, so yeah, it was definitely a great experience growing up in Georgetown. And then when I finished university, because I completed my degree at UG, and when we moved off the bank, it was finally Granny's space. It's not that we were living in somebody else's space, it was her space. And the backyard is huge. So you're able to develop your own little farm so that you don't have to go to the market and that kind of thing. But obviously, life is so funny that when you have all the resources and the opportunity, you don't have the energy.
Mhm.
And that's something that, looking at my grandmother and how I was raised, it's very much to be independent, but you can only be independent to a certain extent as you get older.
Right.
Um, so her dream was to have her own little farm going at the back, her own fruit trees and vegetables and things like that, but she doesn't have the energy anymore. But the point is that there is space. The further out you move from town, there is space, but still there is no lack of community.
Right.
Even if it's taken people long to build their homes in the community, the developing communities, they make it a point to come and introduce themselves to the neighbors. And I think that's something so special that we share. And I can't speak on it from an entire Caribbean perspective, but I know from a Guyanese perspective that this is our thing. This is what we do. But what I have noticed in going back home as well is that it's becoming less popular, especially with the newer generations, which is sad that we're losing it. But at the same time, change has to happen. But it's just such an integral part of community that we're losing. I think people are going to realize it a lot later than it should be.
Yeah, and it's so important. Like even doing having conversations like these is um keeping the memory alive of at least what it was
Yeah,
when we were there,
yeah,
or like
yeah,
when we were growing up. So,
yeah.
um, as we know, food is a huge part of Guyanese culture, Guyanese history, our identity.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
very hard question, I think. N- Describe Guyana one food. One,
Describe Guyana
yes.
as one food.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Um, I honestly will have to say maybe metem. And
Wow.
the reason I pick metem over cook up is because I think cook up is such a broad term. It doesn't really highlight everything that metem in my head that metem does. So with cook up, it's something that's shared in the Caribbean. But I feel like metem is something that's more our own. And with metem, you have more different shapes or cuts of provision, different types of provision, different things going into the mix. And it's the same with cook up, but um it's just different. I can't
What is
describe it,
what
but
is
it's
metem? Like if
it's
you were to describe like what things are in it. So like the
yeah,
long name is like
like
MG. What is
right. So it's basically ground provision. So you have your cassava, your plantain, your sweet potato, your eddos. Some people put dasheen. You can basically put whatever you want ground provision wise. And you boil it with coconut milk and you season and these type of things. And I think the point that made me think Diana is metem is the coconut milk added to the mix that makes it so rich because our culture is rich.
Mm.
Our background, our lifestyle, everything is so rich. And when I say rich, like I could give you a basic example. Whenever you got any type of function, even if it's just a line, like a get together. Sorry, I have to remember
No, no,
that.
no. Use the Guyanese terms because we want like this is who we are, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a
Even
line.
even if it's yeah, even if it's a
Bashment.
line, it can start out as a little, let me take two beers. And then suddenly it becomes this massive thing where I'm going to buy a bottle or I'm going to get food or I'm going to get this, I'm going to call this body. And then
Somebody
everybody just,
put on a frying pan and you're frying something.
right, everything is just happening. And I think that's our life. Like it starts simple, our intention is simple, but because our intention is simple and it brings together so many people and so many things, it's just rich. And I think that's what the coconut milk in the messam stands for. And then you can have it with with salt fish or fried fish or chicken or whatever you want to add to it, you can. But my point is whatever you put in next to it, it gonna taste good
It's
regardless.
already rich. And then the
Yeah.
sleep after. Ooh, ooh,
Oh, the sweetest.
the sleep? What? And now they call it what a
That's
sugar coma. I don't care what y'all call it. That ice to sleep is the best.
literally because it doesn't take long to hit you.
Nope.
You can just finish that last bite of food and be like, "Hmm,
Yes, girl.
thank you, Father."
It's,
And that means when you say
and
thank you,
then all
Father,
of a
that means
sudden
you're
it's
going
night.
to sleep.
What happened? Oh my gosh.
That means you're going to sleep.
So
Yeah.
staying in the conversation of food, growing up, what was
Hmm.
your favorite like snacks to buy like at a vendor or your parents or your grandparents would make?
Well, I am a very big foodie. I've been since I was a
Really? Oh
child.
my goodness. Did not know that.
Your sarcasm is so evident. Um, I think definitely pickle,
Mm,
any pickle,
any?
mango, especially mango pickle, because that was like an afternoon thing for me. Like I come home from school and the neighbor, we had a mango tree, and then the neighbors had a mango tree. And if our tree ain't got no mango, we go into their tree and pick the mango, and I can bring the bowl and the knife and the salt and pepper. They can bring the mango. I couldn't peel a mango to save my life when I was younger, so my friend used to do it. And the thing is, that's where the joy and relationship building came, is that you were doing this thing together. And then when you finish, when the pickle done make, you sit down on the step and you eat your pickle. And especially if you put plenty pepper, you're going all the time. And then when you finish and you clean the mango seed, like you really clean.
When
That's
it's just white left.
when it's just white.
Yeah.
And we had a thing. Me and my friends had a thing. When it white, the next challenge was to see who could pelt it the furthest on the neighbor roof. Now, that's a childhood thing. But looking back at it, that's such a fun memory for me, like to reflect on that space and um being able to share that with different people from all walks of life because my friends were very much mixed, Black, Indian, mixed up all together, that's our culture, that's how our people are. Um, so definitely pickle mango.
Yeah.
Guinea pickle was also, oh,
Yeah.
guinea pickle. Um, then I would definitely say I've never been a green plantain chip person. I like a ripe plantain chip, um, with enough sour. And I think the topper for me would be black pudding, black and white pudding. Those two is just a whole new level. Like I'm thinking about it, I'm salivating, and I think, yeah, if
Yeah, put
only.
my hand on some, all of the above. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. But that's narrowing it down. Like
it's hard.
not, yeah, not what I want to do, but
Yeah.
yeah, those are the three I
So
know for sure.
talking about mangoes, like when people hear the Caribbean, like one of the first foods they think about is like the taste of a sweet, juicy mango. I'm not a ripe mango person. That's just me.
Okay.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a ripe mango person. Are you?
Mm-hmm. I love all types of mango
I'll
because
take
for me, I
pickle and
think,
green all day.
okay, let me explain. So there's a difference with the mango. You have green mango pickle, that's a whole taste entirely. You got the tiness, you got edge your teeth, that type of thing. But
Mhm.
then when you have a med we say force, right? But I'm gonna explain it as medium, right, to people.
No, no, no.
Um,
For medium ripe is turning.
Thank you for correcting me.
No,
Hmm.
because forest ripe is a whole other thing. Like in the West, all they know is forest ripe.
All all I know is all does get eat. So it don't matter the name,
All going
all
to
gets an eat, right? Um, but then you have a different taste when you do ripe mango with salt and pepper. Like the sweetness from the mango with the salt and pepper, that just hits different for me. So I am an all types of ripe mango person.
right. Okay. So, your favorite Guyanese holiday and why?
Pagua, hands down, Pagua.
Really?
And the reason I say Pagua, like people would automatically think Christmas, and there honestly there is nothing like a Guyanese Christmas. I'm not debating that. But for me, when I look back at how I grew up in Guyana, I think Pagua, and this has nothing to do with people's religion.
No.
And that's what makes it so special is that regardless of your race, your religion, your background, whether you're rich, you're poor, whether whether you can afford to leave your house that day or you worried about, you know, if somebody might do something to you. On Pagua Day, nobody touch you. You get treated like family. Everybody treats you like family. And that is so special because it's an typically it's a Hindu holiday and mostly Indians celebrate it. But what's fascinating is that Black people celebrate Pagua more than Indian people. And that is it's just amazing to me that, you can take something that's not yours
Right.
and incorporate it into your life so much so that you can't even tell whose holiday it really is,
Yeah, if you
you
come to
know?
Canada during that time, it's like, wait, so whose holiday? Like, it's really like,
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
on.
So
So
it'll start off with the Indian and Hindu community
mm,
doing their prayers and everything else that Pago symbolizes. But you see, once that clock hit like 9 o'clock, even before then, the ramping the start. But you see, once the thing hit 9, 10 o'clock, from the night before, people done got their powders. Matter of fact, powders and the stainer, they start selling a month in
oh
advance
my
to
gosh.
the actual holiday. And then, so the day before is also special because that's when all the food getting prepared. You technically you're not supposed to have alcohol or meat on this day,
Ah,
but you can't tell a Guyanese person though.
right.
You cannot tell a Guyanese person. A real Guyanese person will be drinking, will be eating all sorts of stuff. So Pago for me has always been a fun memory. I have played Pago with Indian people. I played Pago with Black people. I played Pago in the mix. I've been to areas where you have everybody in one, but everybody stay in the same color, so you can't really tell who is who
Too,
in
yeah.
terms of ethnicity. Um, so for me, I think that is definitely one of the holidays where you see a true reflection of Guyanese people.
S- So I would ask you this: for those who've never heard of Pagua, are like some countries call
Mhm.
it holy or holly?
Holy, yeah.
It's like, what is it?
So,
And I'm not
so
asking like if you don't remember like the history, but like how do like the break like how do we celebrate it in Guyana?
um, so essentially most religious holidays are celebrating the triumph of good over evil.
Mm,
That's putting it down into basics. Um, sorry, I've got a really tickly throat. Um,
we're dying. So here we are.
um, yeah, essentially it's the triumph of good over evil, one of the ways in which good triumphs over evil. And they celebrate it by having a variety of colors in terms of powders. You have a stainer, which is typically blue or purple or red. And when you play Pagua, you might start off with powder and say you're not playing with stainer, that kind of thing, but you're gonna get it in the end, regardless. So there are different powders, different colors of the powders, and you basically take those and you rub it on each other and you say Happy Pagua, and it's basically just saying, you know, we made it. The good triumphs over the evil, and I want to share this moment with you. I want to enjoy the celebration, the colors of life with you. And then eventually you have the Stena. Sorry,
You're
you
good.
have the Stena coming into play at like toward the latter parts of the day. So once Stena hits you, you stand until your skin cells start to degrade. That's how long it lasts on your
It takes a
skin.
few
So you
days.
stay, yeah, so you stand for at least at least a week, minimum a week. Um, and then you got people with water. Now, what I don't like is that he'll start out with pipe water, clean water. But then towards the end of the day, when everybody is in this euphoric state,
Right.
the water could come from a questionable source, like somebody barrel. Um, that maybe got rainwater, but it also got like other bits inside. So for me, I used to make sure I come off the road before a certain time when I know the alcohol got to people's head.
And then I can
Yeah,
straight.
yeah. But I love when people just pick up a spray gun and you don't know if it got plain water or it got stain inside, and then suddenly you got blasted with color. I love that uncertainty, and it's a wonderful holiday, at least for me. And
Yeah.
that's coming from a Christian.
And that's so it's like and we could all live in the same country and have a different experience. Like I was never allowed
Yeah.
to play Pagua, but that was
Mm,
my home.
yeah.
Like I saw it, like it looked like a lot of fun, and I could talk about it, but I was never a part of it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
All right, so You mentioned in the beginning, like so you live in London now. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm pretty sure you've interacted with a lot of people that are not Guyanese.
Yes.
What was one of the first times you realized that you were doing something that was like specific to Guyana? Like, oh, this is a Guyanese thing because no one else.
That's so funny. Um, Honestly, I can't pinpoint a particular thing,
Mhm.
but can I give three? Maybe
Yeah,
three.
sure. Share your truth.
Um, I think the major one was when I first got to London. And so the school that I was attending at the time, they had like a little cookery after school
Mm.
class. And the lady was saying we're going to make chicken curry. So I got excited because this is definitely my area, you know? And then I saw them cutting the chicken and then they put it in the pot. And so I said to her, I said, excuse me, where is the lime and the vinegar and the salt? And she goes,
The
for
what?
what? You don't put that in curry. I said, no, not for the curry, to wash the chicken. Where she said you can't wash the chicken because you're gonna spread salmonella. And I'm thinking, I'd rather spread the salmonella than have it in me. Thank you very much. So once I realized that people don't wash their meat here, because back home, for sure everybody washing the meat. So even if you
Exactly.
buy from somewhere, you good. So here, I'm very particular about where I buy food from because they don't wash their meat.
Right.
Um, and fair enough, that's a preference for people, but my preference is my meat will be washed
Because you
with
taste the
the
difference.
right. You definitely, oh my
It is
goodness, you
to
definitely
rank.
taste
I
the
don't know. Like,
difference.
it can still taste good, but you could
It's
tell that the flavor doesn't get into the meat.
it's there is a rank
Oh my God.
flavor, absolutely rank flavor. Um, so that was my first culture shock in that because of the way I grew up, I thought everybody washes their meat. I thought that was a normal
And
thing to
when we say
do.
wash, we mean soak it,
Yeah,
you know?
in the lime and salt or vinegar. Now, if you don't have all three at the same time, one can work. Even if you just got one can work. But the
Yeah.
point is you washing out that rankness.
Yeah.
And that was my first major culture shock. Um, the other culture shock was the fact that you don't speak to your neighbors here.
Yeah.
Um, you don't like you could say good morning to someone and they will look at you funny and just keep walking. And it's actually interesting that they will see you coming. And if they know that you typically will say good morning or whatever, they'll put their earphones in so
Yeah.
they don't hear you. They don't have to interact with you.
Right.
Um, so that's a Guyanese thing that I was accustomed to. Like if I see people, I'll say hi, good morning, whatever, even if I don't know you, just because of how I grew up.
Right.
But that's definitely different here. And I think sometimes when I speak, like when I'm speaking to my colleagues at work, the accent comes out a bit. I keep forgetting that I need to remember to speak proper English. So it's not like Guyanese don't speak proper English.
Uh,
We have cravings.
right.
And so it's it's interesting because I was speaking to one of my colleagues the other day, and I was speaking so fast because of how passionate I was about the topic, and a bunch of Guyanese things just roll out my tongue. I can't specifically remember what, but I remember that my accent and demeanor changed. And he literally sat there like, "What did you just say?" And the way we pronounce things as well is completely different. So, for example, some people in Guyana say temperament. It's a Guyanese thing to sometimes pronounce every single letter. Like we have this thing, we'll pronounce every single letter in one word, and some words they're missing letters. You
Yes.
know, um. So sometimes we'll say things like temperament, and you'll get the side eye and be like, it's temperament,
Mm,
or or um I can't remember another word right now,
yeah.
but it's definitely a lot of vast differences in how we say things. Guyanese have a tendency to cut off the first letter of a word. So, like sometimes instead of us saying imagine, we might say imagine,
Wow, I was
or
thinking more like hospital, like going to the hospital or the oh, like,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
imagine or there's another
Or
word that
just a
I'm not sure what the right word
yeah, just like simple things like we.
or we'll add a letter like the word tolerate. We say it.
I'm not even going to.
Okay, is there a word like I tolerate though? It's just not a thing. It's just
It just comes off. It just rolls out that way.
I tolerate is not a word.
I wouldn't be able to say. I live in England, but that don't mean I speak the Queen's English all the time, please.
Or like the word vehicle. How do they say it in England?
Vehicle.
Yes, that's how they say it here too.
Or they'll say they don't say trunk of the car. They say the boot.
What do they say here? Oh
And
my,
they don't say garage.
I gotta think, but they don't say garage here either. They don't say
Or
garage.
my absolute favorite is to impersonate the conductors from home. We're going Kitty Campbell.
You know when you
Kitty
said you look
Campbell.
like Kitty, I wanted to say that. So you mean on Kitty Cat bus?
Kitty Campbell. The actual thing is Kitty Campbellville.
Yeah,
Guyanese people,
Kitty
Kitty
Campbell.
Campbell.
One word. One word. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Yeah, I
goodness.
say the
It,
word like vehicle in my job a lot, and I tried the whole vehicle. It's not for me. It is not for
yeah.
me. Like
Mm-mm,
here, they say
mm-mm.
advertisement. It's advertisement. It's
I don't
advertisement.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't get it. And then the spellings are completely different as well. So Guyana was British Guyana, but with the influx of American influences, whether it be migration, whether it be television, social media, a lot of those spellings and pronunciations have changed. What I don't like, I know it's not a question that you asked, but I want to highlight it as well, is that
Yeah, go ahead.
the younger generation in Guyana now, it's easy for them to accept other holidays and other cultures. And that's fine because we are an accepting people, but they're accepting to the point where they're forgetting our roots and our holidays and our traditions. And it's becoming so westernized rather than having that true, genuine Caribbean, South American, Guyanese experience.
Yeah,
So it's definitely changing, but I know that because of the way I grew up, I'm definitely going to make sure those traditions continue so that my children can understand where they're from.
it's and thank you for raising that because it's something that like when I push back on social media, like you sound like a hater, you know? Like, why is
Yeah.
there a Halloween party in Ghana? Like, do you know
We have
the
never,
of Halloween?
never in our entire
Yeah,
lives living in Guyana celebrated Halloween.
no,
I was,
it's not
it
our
actually started when I was what, in second form.
no.
That's what, grade eight? Is that grade eight?
Yeah, it is, but I don't even remember that.
So that's when it first started stepping into the scene. At
Interesting.
least from my knowledge, at
I
least
don't.
from my knowledge, that's when I started hearing people be like, "Oh, there's this Halloween party happening." I'm thinking, Since when Guyanese people celebrate Halloween?
The one that
What
gets
we trick or
me,
treating?
or the two that gets me, is Black History Month celebrations in February. Mr. Lady,
We
do
have never done
you
that.
know why it's February in the United States? Like that's
Exactly.
not a part of your history. Celebrate in August.
Right. The first Emancipation Day.
Celebrate
Oh
in
my
August.
goodness.
Oh my gosh. Or why is there 4th of July sale?
Or why is there St. Patrick's Day? We ain't got nothing to do with Patrick.
No.
Patrick is the man that live around the
Patrick
corner
turkeys on
selling
top.
beef.
None of them. And it's like, oh well, you just want to keep. It's like, okay, it's different
Or
if
Cinco de Mayo.
listen,
Tell me,
listen,
tell me
listen.
what Cinco de Mayo significance is in Guyana when on the 5th of May is
We got
Indian
Indian
Arrival Day.
Arrival Day, and my thing is, even with Halloween or whatever, like, okay, explain if you want, like you said, if you want to be accepting is one thing, but I don't see America or England celebrating May 26th
Exactly, exactly,
or August 1st,
exactly my point.
and now we got Canada.
Exactly my point.
So, thank you for raising that topic. I just feel,
Matrimony is not even what matrimony is that we grew up knowing matrimony
no,
is.
I
Like,
keep,
how do you explain your holidays to people when they're slowly being obliterated?
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's kind of
So,
sad, and that's why it's so again, like it's so important for us to start telling our
yeah,
stories, like
yeah.
so that today, in next month, like people could watch these videos and see and hear our stories, but like 30 years from now, one guy probably looks very different, you know.
It's already looking different, sweetheart.
Uh,
It's already looking different.
but Joanna,
Yeah,
what does Guyana mean to you?
home,
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
That, and that's something I've always told people. So even when I first migrated, everybody was like, why you want to go back to Guyana? Why you think Guyana is so nice? Guyana ain't got nothing there. You come here and you got so many opportunities. And it's like, I will take home where I feel at peace, where I feel welcome, where I feel happy
Hmm.
over opportunities. It is very rare that you come across somebody that has migrated in a place they grew up in and they say to you, I feel at home wherever they are.
Yes,
It's very rare. It
yes,
does happen
it does happen. I
because
don't
some
want them to
people they
stop that.
escape from a lot.
Yeah,
But for the most part, if you ask anybody that has migrated for career opportunities, if those career opportunities and social developments were available in Guyana, would you go back home? And the answer is always going to be
absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
It's always going to be yes. And I've said this, I've said this to my mom and even some of my friends here. You can take the Guyanese out to Guyana, but you cannot take the Guyana out to the Guyanese. And that means that regardless of where I go, no matter how beautiful, how absolutely stunning the scenery is and the culture is, it will never compare to where my heart is, you
Right.
know?
I,
Um, if things were ideal back home, 100%. I'm raising my children and my family there. I am building my life there. I am developing my country. And a lot of people that migrate, they always find a way to give back to Guyana. They start looking for ways to develop Guyana so that the people, the children of the future will have some semblance of that connection that we have to
yeah.
home. Um, it's truly home for me. even though I was born in Suriname, I have never considered Suriname home. And that is because that's just it. I was born there. That's not where I was. Those are not where my values come from. It's not where my community is from. Um, so yeah, Guyana is home. Everything about it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the history, everything is home. It's like yourself. You're not always proud of yourself and the parts of
Right.
yourself that you try to hide, but
But you are the
you
best
love it.
person to face it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you're always trying to progress and do better. So for me, Guyana means home.
And it's like, and people think, oh, well, I've been asked, like, when you visit another country that maybe it's like tropical, like Guyana, or like the foods might be similar. It's like, oh, does this remind you of home? No. Like, it's
No,
familiar. It's,
like
it's,
this is how it is. Like you meant Guyana is home so much. Go any part of the world and don't find a Guyanese
yeah,
and don't see that they got made Marian flour.
yeah.
They got powdered milk. They got sugar cake.
So
It's
all of
something
those, there's
Guyanese.
always something Guyanese. But what I could tell you, every Guyanese house in on the moon, Antarctica, Iceland, you name it, China, Russia, we got a bag of rice and we got a packet of curry powder. And if you don't have those things in your house, quite frankly, I'm questioning your guide. I objectively say this. I am questioning
Oh my
not
goodness.
your Guyanese. You might not cook the
Yeah.
rice for a while. You might not. The curry powder might be 5 years old,
But it's there for hard times. You must got something.
and good times too. Because a month don't pass and I don't eat curry. I have to. I have it. You know what I mean? And like I was gonna say,
That's another thing too. Continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
no,
you.
no, you're good. And that's the thing too. Like I was gonna say even though I'm black, but it's also I think that's one negative thing, and I don't know if it's like this in England, where you would identify with one ethnic group because it's not a
Mm,
race. Um,
yeah.
you would identify with one ethnic group, whereas in Guyana we identify all with family because I feel like you're ignoring you a part of who you are by saying I am just black. And
Yeah.
I tell people, well, I
Yeah.
have my great great grandfather was Chinese. I have Indian cousins.
Yeah.
I'm already
Yeah.
look at my calves. It's like, oh, are you trying to lessen your blackness? No, I'm acknowledging.
It's just who I am. And it's always that's something I noticed in the West as well. They always want you to pick a side, I guess, because historically they've always had to pick a side. But for us, it's like I can't pick a side because everybody died me.
I, thank you.
I,
So
I
how am I
got
supposed to look
everything
at
except Chinese.
me auntie no Nani and say, oh, I just black.
Right. Right.
So what are you, Joanna?
Like I say to mm, I'm so happy you asked that question. So
Because it's
I
giving
am
like
mixed.
it's Dominican, it's giving Middle Eastern, it's giving
It's giving, I've
Italian.
had somebody say to me, it's giving exotic, it's giving Sri Lanka,
What is
it's
exotic?
giving,
What does exotic mean?
I don't know. I don't know.
Talk.
So as as you know, Guyana is multi-ethnic
Mm-hmm.
and I am mixed with everything except Chinese. So I've got a little bit of Amerindian, a little bit of white, a little bit of Portuguese, a little bit of Indian, a little bit of black. I'm mixed.
And
I'm mixed. I got everybody except Chinese, and I physically I look Indian or I don't know Indian mix. I don't know.
yeah,
Right. But what's funny is I feel more inclined towards my African side. Like I can still interact with the Indian side, but I feel more of a connection and integration with the black side.
Mhm.
And I guess maybe it's because in my home, it's basically been a thing between black and Indian because those are the two prominent ones in my home. And as much as we can eat the little dal and rice and coconut choker and seven curry and things, we till we cook up, we till we met them, you know, you can't keep things like that. So for me, those are parts of myself that I'm not ashamed of. I'm not embarrassed about it. But I don't tell people, oh, I'm Indian or I'm white, or I say I'm mixed. And when they say mixed with what, I'm like with everything. And I can't pick a side. But here, you're if you're not white and you're not pure black, if you're mixed, it's kind of like there's still a stigma ish attached to it. Like
Yeah.
they'll accept you, but it's more like when it boils down to it, you kind of got to pick a side. You know what I mean? And it's so like for example, a person mixed with black and white, pure black and white,
Mhm.
they can't they can't say oh they're white. They automatically become black.
Yeah.
You know, um, which is so funny to me because I would never say that. You could put a knife to my throat. I am not saying that I'm one race. I'm mixed with everything except Chinese. I'm gonna say that till the day I die.
And the thing is, like for me, I say that I used to fight the fight, like during my first few years of migration. I used to say I'm mixed
Mm,
or,
hmm.
you know, other. And
Yeah,
people, when I tell people that, they think, "Oh, you're denying that you're black." But then when I say I'm black, though, in the U.S. context, you expect me to share a lot of things, like the food, um, the culture, like the history. I didn't grow up when the battle between Ja Rule and Diddy or whoever existed. What battle? It was Marsha
what?
Montana and whoever sing "Give Me a Sucker" and Julie Mango. I don't know. You know where I'm coming from? Like it. Like I. There's certain movies I never watch, but I know all the lines of
Mm,
the Soldier song or Om Shanti Om. Like in my black state, I may not know how to make cornbread, but I could tell you how to make a good chicken curry.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's not me ignoring that I'm black. It's just that we don't share, like I don't share your black identity as a black
experience. Yeah,
American,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
And what I've noticed is that even Black Americans don't share their identity, their Black
Exactly.
American identities, because they're constantly looking to pointed back to Africa, like, oh, I was born as a Black American, but I'm actually Nigerian. Okay, we get it. Your roots are there, but you now forcing a Caribbean person to share your Black experience, but yet you don't even want to share your own Black
Right.
experience. That's very
And the
confusing and
thing is,
conflicting.
yeah, and so it's like I've been told, oh, your black card has to be revoked. Girl, I never got it.
Right,
I never got it,
right,
and I wasn't trying to pretend.
right.
And it's not that I'm saying, oh, I don't want to be Black American. I would identify that way, but I need to give context because you're going to expect me to know certain things that I don't. I want to learn,
Yeah, yeah.
but I've already experienced a Black president, multiple. I've experienced a woman president. I've
And
experienced,
it's not just across. Yeah, it's not just across like America and the Caribbean, like even within the Caribbean itself, it's like when I tell people I'm from Guyana, they're like, "Oh, you're Caribbean?" I'm like, "Ish." Our culture is Caribbean. Geographically, we're South American. I always make that specification because a lot of people get very touchy about it, and I'm like, "Why are you fighting over geography when the culture is the same?" And not just that, like with um what you'll find is most people automatically switch into this Jamaican accent. Like Jamaica is the poster child for the Caribbean, which I understand because they're like prominent in terms of their contributions to the world, maybe. Um,
well, also
but
like very
they
north, and a lot more people in the West could afford to travel there, so that's all they know. But I digress.
right. Um, so like automatically the accent will switch to trying to be a Jamaican, and they'll ask you certain things about Jamaican culture. I'm like, I wouldn't know. I'm not Jamaican. We share the culture, but not everything in the culture
We
we
love that.
share.
Like we hike, do not touch
Right.
my Jamaican cousins. But that's as much as me saying that, oh, you're from the US, so you're Canadian, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience and very eye-opening. And that's why I would always encourage people back home to travel if they can, to understand not just how fortunate they are, but also what opportunities and cultural differences exist
Mhm.
so that when you're having conversations, because eventually the way things are going in Guyana now, you will have some international networking to do.
Mhm.
You want to be able to have an open mind. Um, and when I say open mind, I mean open mind to the point where you have your views, but
Right.
you're not easily swayed by something else that seems enticing because you lack it in your own. You know what I mean? So I always encourage people to travel if they can, even if it's just a different country in South America or a different Caribbean country, just to appreciate the minor differences that are there
Mhm.
and not like if you migrate to, because I've seen people that have migrated from the Caribbean, for example, like Barbados or St. Lucia, and they come to England, and just because people automatically assume Caribbean and Jamaica are synonymous, they start adopting, losing their Bayesian accent, losing their Bayesian
Yeah.
identity and adopting this Jamaican to kind of fit a mold of who these people think you might be or should be.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just it's tough, but I can understand their perspective as well of wanting to fit in because you're coming from a place where you fit in and now you're trying to find your way in this new space and this seems to be the only space that's sort of familiar and
Exactly.
that you can fit in to have a community. So I get it.
Yeah. You were gonna mention something earlier. Was it related to curry?
On Oh, that's what I was going to say. When you see, you mentioned curry and everything just
Yeah.
comes going back. That's what I was going to say is that when you move from home
Hmm.
where you're able to cook anything and you could, because of the temperature, you could open your window. So you're really keeping that smell absorbed in your house. When
Uh,
you move to a cold country and you can't open the windows like regular you can't cook certain foods because your whole house smelling like that. And you know, as Guyanese people, we constantly cleaning because the place got to smell clean, it got to look good.
right.
Like anybody coming into your room when they come to visit, I don't get it,
Right.
but I can't cook curry as often as I'd like to. I tend to cook curry mostly in summertime or springtime when I can open the windows.
Mhm.
If I cook curry in the winter, my entire apartment is smelling like curry for a good 2, 3 weeks, even though I've
And
cleaned
that's
it.
my testimony. I know I
So
was going to
it's
cook
having to,
like curry, and you know what? That is my truth. That is my truth. Like,
it's sac- it's a lot of sacrifice you have to make because a good curry gonna have you finger
and
stained.
yeah. Ooh.
I'm actually craving curry now, but I can't cook it.
Well, Joanna, this was amazing, even though I kept crying the whole time. Because you.
It's fine. It's the Guyanese experience. We're very emotional.
Well, I
Well,
enjoyed this a lot, and thank you so much
me
for
too. Me too.
taking the time to
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about my Guyanese experience because I do that daily anyway with my
exactly.
colleagues. They always want to know something, and I'm so happy to share it. And I'm happy to share it with you. I think at the end, now it's at the end of it, I could tell people, we actually know each other like this. So this conversation was a little bit redundant for us, but it's new to you guys.
Maybe
But yeah,
I've
I'm
burnt a
very
pot
happy.
or two. learning how to cook, Joanna burned the pot. But anyways,
Why? How did I do that? That
anyways,
was,
oh,
you know what? I'm gonna take the fall for it. I'll take the fall for it. You know why? Because I know the truth. I'll take the fall for it. I know the truth.
that
And
needs to
then you took the pot downstairs to scrub with some sand, calling your mom to figure out how to clean a pot. And that's one thing, you know what? I was reflecting on us growing up together, how we started high school, and then we became study buddies. And then I came to your house, you came to my house. And it's funny that our families, especially yours, I instantly became a family member. So like your mom wasn't cooking regular stuff for you, but when I came over, I was getting stuff that you weren't getting. And
it's
I
crazy.
would just I
Like
just
your
wanted to
family
point
is
I
my
just wanted to point
family.
that out.
Like your family,
Yes,
and yeah, it's like
literally.
same plate. We shared. It was like we're like not even long lost cousins. It was like we're siblings.
And I'm honestly, I thank God for our relationship every single day because I grew up wanting a sibling and then I got one, you know? So, yeah, I love you. I'm so happy to share this part of the journey with you and to be able to share my perspective with you in you developing things for Guyana. Like I said before, even though we migrate, we find a way to make it a
Exactly.
priority, to make it known where we're from,
Yeah.
you know. So I am so proud of you for what you're doing, and
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on your little interview series.
All right. Thank you so much, and talk to you later.
Thank you.